to the broadcast. Now, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, that is EACC, is set to launch the National Ethics and Corruption Survey 2018 Art Integrity Center in Nairobi. Let us link up with our reporter Mark Namaswa, who is on standby at Integrity Center. Mark Namaswa, good morning. A report coming out today, even as EACC, steps up its effort when it comes to the fight against graft in the country.
Now, Brenda, it's quite an interesting day and date to release such a report, given that just last night we had another report by the U.S. government concerning the blacklisting of Busia Senator Amos Wako from stepping into the U.S. But we understand this ban has been in force since about 10 years back. So it's not something quite new. But coming back to the EACC, we've had cases or incidents of leaders being dragged to the EACC, the swinging doors becoming some sort of emblem for indictment of corrupt individuals. But a lot of people have been talking about why do we have the EACC like that dog that is quite noisy, but we don't see people behind bars. People are just out on bail. But the EACC itself has been insisting that it's doing its best to ensure that corruption is contained. But a lot of people still demand to see tangibles on the ground. Today, we expect the EACC to release a survey report concerning the year 2018. This will basically be their scorecard for what they have attained in the previous year and comparisons with the past, and also an outlook into the future. But a lot, definitely, from the sentiments expressed by Kenyans all over is that more needs to be done concerning the fight against corruption. We tend to look at the annual surveys that are released by Transparency International, what we call the Corruption Perception Index, and Kenya has not been faring quite well. From a maximum point of the cleanest country of 100, Kenya has had an average of around 22.8. So if that's an exam, it means that Kenya has been scoring consistently over the past 20 years or so at 22.8%. Now, looking at last year's, we were number 144 out of 180, meaning that if that was a class, we would be in the last quarter of the class, and we had 27 points. That is 2018, 27 points. But other countries that have had a tumultuous past, for instance, Rwanda, have been performing better than us. For instance, Rwanda was positioned 56 out of 180, which ranked it at 48th place, while we were at 144. Looking at Tanzania, last year it was at position 99, and had 36 points, and we had our own 27 points. So it tells you that we still have a very long way to go, and the EACC itself, as an institution that is mandated in investigating and prosecution of criminal entities and corrupt entities, still has a long way to go. So we'll be very interested in seeing what tangibles the EACC will present to us in their survey report for 2018. Back to you, Brenda.
You have covered a lot of, corruption cases that are currently happening in the country, and especially when it comes to, people being summoned by EACC at the headquarters. So from your side, what do you think will come out from this report?
Now, this report will have, basically, my prediction, we will have an outline of what they have accomplished in the past 1 year, as well as the strategies, the new strategies, because the way we have looked at the challenges that are facing the fight against corruption in Kenya is that since we came from having a central government and having in place devolved units, it means that corruption was devolved. It's not only the EACC to look at the central government, but also look at 47 new entities with their complexities, with their different individuals implementing different tactics in order to cover their tracks. So the EACC will have to show us in their report what strategies they have put in place to ensure that they keep an eye on all the 47 entities, and not just public institutions, but also private entities. And also, with the advent of technology, it makes matters either easier or more difficult, depending on how you decide to look at it. So they'll have to tell us what new strategies they have put in place, what new discoveries they have, what they have accomplished so far, what monies and amounts they have been able to recover, and what new strategies they are going to deploy in the fight against corruption as we head forward. Back to you.
All right, and Amos, finally, who do you expect, to attend that event? Do you expect, the Attorney General? Do we expect the Director of Public Prosecutions, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, and also the Judiciary? Because this arms of government need to work hand in hand when it comes to the fight against corruption.
Yeah, from the program here, we can see we have the EACC Chair Eliud Wabukala. We also have one Vincent Okongo, Director of Preventive Services, and we also have Mr. David Tor, the Director of Legal Affairs. We don't really have a huge number of new entities or personalities from other institutions really here. So this is just the list that we have. We don't really have quite outstanding characters that will be representing other institutions. It's more or less an internal affair.
Thank you so much. I'm Mark Namaswe reporting from the EACC headquarters, where the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is expected to release its report, its survey, when it comes to